Okay, it seems that we're 1 minute past the hour, so we'll start our presentation. Thank you for attending. Hi, and welcome to our presentation, Integration Made Easy with Geocortex. My name is Peter McLaren. I'm the account manager for the Southeast United States for Geocortex. I'm joined by Paul Van Heeren, technical sales manager, as well as Matt Gover, inside sales. Matt will be helping us with the Q&A at the end of the presentation, so please keep your questions coming into the chat during the presentation, and we will try to answer all your questions at the very end. Next slide, Paul. So Geocortex is now a little over 20 years old. Our headquarters is located in Victoria, BC. Our core Geocortex teams currently stands at a little over 100, mostly based out of that office. There are a few exceptions, including both Paul and myself. We're both located in the Eastern time zone for your convenience. We now have almost 1,500 customers worldwide. Of note is that we are an Esri Platinum business partner. This means that our go-to-market strategy is focused exclusively on supporting Esri customers. We also have a few specialties, including being release ready, the ArcGIS Online specialty, and of course, we are a marketplace provider for Esri. Here's a few logos of some of our customers in the Southeast area. As you can see, there's a heavy municipal focus among our customer types. What do all these customers have in common? All these organizations, regardless of the vertical they are in, are facing common challenges around delivering modern IT, supporting more users, growth, and managing increased cost. Next slide, Paul, please. As noted in the previous slide, our clients tend to come from the local and state government, oil, gas, utilities, water, and public safety. Of course, we have customers in other verticals, most notable and recently in the transportation area, where we have new technology focused on supporting roads and highways with straight line diagrams. We talk to a lot of organizations from around the world. Some common trends we are observing when it comes to integration is that sometimes GIS is the last to know. We've seen instances where IT and business units expect GIS because of their wonderful work to automatically whip up an application at the last minute that might integrate several different systems that have recently been installed or implemented at the city or town or organization. We realize that this can be very stressful, regardless of when the expectation is made known, I should say. Geocortex offers flexibility to meet these needs as they come up. Important business processes are still very manual and often paper-based. Organizations are increasingly facing competition as well as increased customers' demand. But sometimes the processes are manual and they need to be automated. As an example, we often hear that organizations are trying to reduce the time it takes to deliver reports to customers or constituents. And this might be from multiple systems that don't talk to each other. They're looking for ways to easily streamline and automate processes. This is especially relevant in highly regulated work environments where integration and automation can be beneficial. Geocortex integrates business systems to GIS. We extend the reach and capabilities of your applications by linking spatial, non-spatial databases, files, web services that need to be or can be embedded into reports, searches, and forms. Most organizations have siloed applications that run independently from one another. However, if connected to GIS, it can benefit more users, departments, and perhaps the entire organization. Over the years, we've seen Geocortex integrated to all kinds of systems: ERP, land management, business intelligence, asset management, document management, permitting and scheduling, as well as non-spatial databases. And as we'll show you a little bit later in this presentation, we'll show you an example of integrating SafeSoft FME within a web app. Next. A fun fact, Geocortex technology is also a viewer and reporting tool for ArcFM Web and Novotics elements excess. So let's go a little deeper. Let's take a little quick look at a customer success story. Geocortex built an application for Maroon County in Western New York for managing wastewater and facilities work orders that integrate to SAP. The application, called the SAP Viewer, streamlines the creation and maintenance or creation and management of work orders. As part of this delivery, we created a data link to the Oracle database, allowing county staff to quickly access work orders for any given asset directly inside the map viewer. The enduring benefit is that they were able to gain a better knowledge of the life cycle of their assets. Next. So here are some patterns that we've kind of put together, or we've kind of assembled to show how Geocortex helps with integration. Of course, at the base, Esri, ArcGIS Online, workflows and activity packs, embedding, third-party maps, some really deep things with data linking, URL parameters, feature hyperlinking, and custom APIs. At the very base, all Geocortex technology, both our viewer frameworks as well as our capabilities, sit on top of Esri's ArcGIS Enterprise and ArcGIS Online. Either will work similarly. So connecting Geocortex to ArcGIS Online and Portal is very similar to the way that you do with Web App Builder. An author will sign into ArcGIS Online or Portal with a creator account. They will author web maps and web scenes. They will build apps in Web App Builder and reference these maps and web scenes. They will then publish to Web App Builder apps and back into ArcGIS Online or Portal. Now they can share these applications, items, with users, engaging with viewers, editors, and field workers. The same goes for Geocortex viewers. Geocortex apps are items that are saved into Portal. Same thing with the apps. A creator can also use our printing, workflow, and reporting designers to author Geocortex items into the portal. The widgets need to be added to Web App Builder for further deployment. Creators can save the items back into the portal and consume these items into the viewers of their choice, WAB, Geocortex viewers, or both. One of the models that we have is build once, use many. Once these items are available or made available, we believe that more people will be able to use even more WebGIS, especially if workflows and reports are tapping into a variety of different sources not previously available to most users. Embedding. Geocortex apps can be easily embedded into any or most HTML web pages. This can be done to provide spatial context about a piece of data in your third-party system without leaving that application. Vice versa, third-party applications can be embedded within our viewers. Also, we're showing here, Geocortex functionalities or activities, as they're also known, can be easily embedded into any web app builder. In this case that we're looking at scan barcodes or QR codes that can be brought into any web app. Some possible use cases include easily tracking inventory spatially, launching service request from an asset, streamlining data collection, and also tracking access to high security areas. I'm sure that our users will come up with even more use cases. Third-party maps. This is one of the fun areas I really do enjoy. Most recently, we integrated out of the box to Mapillary. That was one of the highlights that I found very exciting. But we do the same thing for Google Street View, Bing Maps, Pictometry, Nair Maps, Cyclomedia, as well as spatially referenced photos and videos. Example, a plane flying along a telecommunication line. Thanks, Paul. Now moving on to workflows and activity packs. Geocortex workflow enables authors to create curated end user experiences from a library of over 200 activities. Workflows can collect data from multiple systems, compile that information, and act upon that based on uh, the process that needs to be built. Third-party data can be combined in any way to tell the workflow what to do. On the screen, we're looking now at a CityWorks application, just as simple as closing a CityWorks application and also looking at it in CityWorks. That probably or most likely uses a CityWorks API. Another great example would be using Oracle, Care Billing, and CityWorks, and Geocortex. Let's imagine an application you've built requires field users, field workers to track and manage water meter installations. And the field worker needs to update 2 or 3 pieces of information about the meter location that lives in Oracle and CityWorks separately. A workflow would expose a simple form in the application that prompts the field crew to update the required information. Upon completion of the form, the work order automatically pushes that new data to the appropriate location, whether it's Oracle, CityWorks, Maximo, or whatever system you're using. Now new to Geocortex are workflow activity packs, a new initiative. I will let Paul Van Heeren explain this new offering. Paul?
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, so yeah, Geocortex Workflow is definitely a powerful tool to build custom tools and widgets that can connect to different systems, all using a low-code designer interface. It's really an easy way to build these custom tools out without getting into the code too much. Yeah, so as Peter mentioned, so as an example, we've rebuilt some standard FME tools within Geocortex Workflow and offer them as activity packs for free, hosted on GitHub, that you can deploy to your environment and further customize as required. So we basically give you an activity pack full of activities that are FME related. You can build them, put them together, and build out some of these tools. This is a clip, ship, and zip tool, as some of you might have heard of, that is using FME to do a little bit of translation there or conversion. So really handy tools there available. If you're interested in learning more, please make an appointment with our group here at our booth, our virtual booth, I guess, and we'll be happy to discuss further. And there's just the output there in the PDF. Another common way to integrate with your internal systems is through data linking. Not all data you need to interact with lives in a spatial database. It's not always in your geo database. Some key business information often lives in databases that are controlled and maintained by other departments. So using Geocortex, you pull all this non-spatial data into your application and work with it on the map. This connection between your spatial and tabular database is executed in real time, and it is invisible to the end user. So there's no duplication or synchronization or anything like that of the data that's required. All you need to do have is a relational database with data that contains a shared key or an attribute. So for example, parcel ID or object ID, something like that. A good example of data linking in action can be seen in many local government applications, so particularly applications that display tax parcel information. The spatial data often contains limited characteristics and doesn't include things like historic values, for example. Creating a data link to this assessment database lets you see historic property values alongside the spatial attributes, all in real time in a way that's not intrusive. So it just sort of kind of supports the spatial data that you're capturing on the map, supports it with some of the other, coming from other systems to really kind of make it a full experience. And here's some examples here, some reports that pull in data from different sources and compile them all into one single report. URL parameters is another way that that you can do to integrate with other systems. So URL parameters are typically used when launching an application from within another system. So for example, you may be looking at a report in your business intelligence system and would like to view the subset of data on a map. So you kind of give it a little bit more context. By setting the proper URL parameters, you can tell your application to focus on the data when it opens, so you don't have to spend time panning and zooming around the map to find what you're looking for. It automatically brings up that zoomed right to that location, highlights it, presents the information right from, you know, one click from your third-party application that you're using. Feature hyperlinking is, I guess, sort of the inverse of URL parameters, but does use parameters at the same time. The difference here is that you're initiating the connection from the map itself or from your GIS application. So feature hyperlinking lets you open an external third-party system in a certain view based upon the context of your Geocortex application. So if you've got a certain parcel selected on your map, then you can kick off, you know, a URL or you know, link off to a document or another application using a URL that will go to that system based on what you selected on the map. Let's look at a couple of client examples. These are real world applications that are used today, both with City of Austin and City of Bellingham. We're going to look at City of Austin here first. We're going to look at their property profile tool. This is a development tool that they use in their environment. What I'm going to do is use this address search tool. What this actually does is first of all, kicks off a Geocortex workflow. So this is kind of, if you haven't seen it before, it's kind of a first look at Geocortex workflow. Workflow is just, as we said, sort of guides the user through you know, a series of end user experiences, I guess, or forms, and to select information on the map. So in this case, this workflow presents some options here to find a parcel. So I can find it by address, nearby intersection, street names, things like that. So I'm just going to use the example that they provided here. So 7304, and you can see that it does an autocomplete. So it does a query there just to kick it off. Workflow is then going to find that parcel and select it on the map. You're presented with some information here on the right, left-hand side. And I'm going to actually scroll down to this section here first on the bottom left. This is your data linked information. So this information above here is going to be your spatial information that's tied to the parcel data itself. Below here is going to be your data linked information. So if I click on one of these, this is information coming from completely separate databases that are being pulled in to support that spatial data. So every one I click on is going to present different data. So really good example of data linking data there. We've got some other links here. We've got a report that I can kick off. This is actually using Geocortex reporting. That's another one of our products that we offer. I'm going to go down here to zoning profile. This is you're going to see the that URL parameters in action here. So in this case, the URL parameter automatically generates a URL using the X and Y coordinates of it, and that feeds it and displays this the site here that they use for the public to view the parcel information. We've got the same thing here, similar behavior with appraisal district. It brings in the parcel ID. This is a good example of a URL parameter, I guess more advanced URL parameter. City of Austin has another application called Flood Pro. So if I click on this is another Geocortex application called Flood Pro, like I said. And what we'll do is feed in the parameters of that parcel. So they've called it place ID there. I don't know if that's the parcel ID, but you can see in the URL that we're jumping right to that parcel using that parameter. So it's just a neat way to run that. You can see that the I want to menu actually opens up automatically as well, allowing you to then jump in and perform, you know, various functions right on that parcel right away. You can see we've actually got some data linked information here on the left as well. Could jump over to the City of Bellingham. So similar functions, but it's good to see some, you know, how our customers are doing this. So I'm going to click on one of the parcels here. Just any parcel will do. Got a couple of things here. We can see that we've got a little bit of a Google Maps integration here, just showing the imagery. We got a couple of options here to run a report. So that's actually, this one kicks off a workflow. So this one kicks off a workflow to kind of customize your report as you see fit. You can then run the report automatically. as well, if you wanted to just sort of use the default settings. I'm gonna go to additional details here. We've got some other things here as well. So we've got a Google Street View integration. So again, it's kind of using a URL parameter to open up that that Google Maps if you want to use a different map here, I guess. I'm actually going to choose a different parcel because it looks like it, yeah, there we go. So that parcel, for whatever reason, didn't have all the information that I was looking for, but this one here has assessor links. So this one actually, again, uses URL parameters to open up their application here. So this is, I actually don't know what system this is, but this is a publicly accessible system that that the public can use to find information about their property. They've also got this one I know is the OnBase. It's a OnBase application or third-party system that's being used here. In this case, no documents are found, but that's okay. Same idea here. It's using a key that's automatically generated to jump right into the system and find the appropriate parcel. So I'm going to bounce back into the presentation and talk about APIs real quick. So beyond out of the box, so Geocortex offers a wide variety of things out of the box, but to sort of take your integration to the next level, what you can do is Geocortex provides complete development flexibility, so you can write custom code to integrate and in any way if needed. So we don't limit the ability to customize integrations. You can write custom code against our APIs to enable real-time bidirectional exchange of data and commands. So really the possibilities are kind of endless here with our software being kind of open for you to kind of play, build in your custom activities and custom functions. So general rule, people always say, what applications do you integrate with? Well, if there's an API that we can interface with and we can connect to your third-party system and vice versa, if your system can connect to ours, then we'll be able to establish some sort of integration and further customize it from there. So a couple of examples of API integration. This is a property kind of software tool called Amanda that's provided by or built by Calterra. I think that's how you pronounce it. In this application, you can see our viewers sort of embedded inside of this Amanda software, Amanda 7 software. The idea here is that any actions that you take inside of the map will then be reflected in Amanda, sort of presenting information in Amanda. So you can see we're actually on Abbey Lane here. We've got this parcel selected here. You can see 2 Abbey Lane is selected inside of Amanda here. So you can see that what I select in the map is going to be reflected in Amanda. Vice versa, same thing. If I were to search something in Amanda, then I would be then directed on the map to that location as well. So we've got that two-way communication there. And that's just sort of scratching the surface of this integration. There's lots of different other functions that are used here as well. Peter mentioned before about Novotics and the Elements XS software that they offer and an integration there. This is a little sneak peek, but I'm actually going to show you this in real time. Oops. So here's the application here. So what this, the idea with this integration is that you're able to select a hydrant on the map. And what this application does, and actually you can see that there's some data linking going on in this fire hydrant as well. So we've got some related records here. But what you can do is create a service order right into Elements XS. So it's a kind of a seamless experience where you're using the map to create a new service order inside of Elements XS here. So I'm going to kick this workflow off. There we go. So it's currently connecting to Elements XS right now because it needs to pull in these tasks. These tasks are actually sort of templates that are pulled in right from Elements XS. So it needs to connect and do that. So I'm going to just select a template, doesn't really matter. It autofills in the scheduled date and time, by the way. This is a Geocortex workflow, if you were wondering. So I can specify the problem. So I'll just say hydrant needs to be removed. I'll just put my initials. I don't know if the number matters, but that's okay. And I'll just put my email address here. And I can go ahead and create the service order. So it's going to go ahead and create that automatically here in my Elements XS instance. Just takes a second. So workflow is feeding that information right into Elements XS. Now I have the option, workflow provides me the option to actually view that service order that I've created. Just gonna need to log into Elements XS. So this is a separate system, obviously. And I can then view this work order. So I'm going to actually, I can view all of my, let's see, sorry, open, alt task, there it is. And I can just quickly schedule here and do by time. And this is the one that I created here. So you can see hydrant needs to be removed. So I've got information from the form that I filled out in my workflow. I've got the address there that I've selected, excuse me. And so I'm ready to go. So you can see that the integration there, and obviously actions that I take inside of Elements XS will then be reflected in the feature data on the map as well. So I'm going to bounce back to a presentation, and Peter, you can finish it off here for us.
Hi, thanks, Paul. That was great. So as you can see, we'll take questions in a second. In summary, we've shown you through this presentation how Geocortex supports integration to a number of different business systems. Whenever I ask my technical team about a possible integration to a third-party system, they've never let me down, and I hope they'll never let me down ever. It may take a couple of days or maybe a couple of hours to figure out the best approach, and there may be 2 or 3 with all these different ways to integrate. But as you can see, there are some ways to integrate challenging third-party systems with GIS and support more users. So with that, I think we'll dive into the questions. Matt, do we have any questions that we can answer right now?
There were no questions that came up. I guess you and Paul were very thorough with your presentation.
Excellent. Well, we're coming up to the end of our presentation. So yes, please visit us at our booth. You know, if you've got any questions, want to learn more about Geocortex, or to discuss anything around GIS in general, we'll be here for the next 3 days, and we look forward to speaking with you if we get a chance. Thank you so much, and hope you had a great presentation and are enjoying this conference. Next slide, Paul. So with that, this session is now closed, and we will be available at our booth for the next 3 days. Thank you so much.